Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Saloon Podcast. I'm your host Mirage, and I'm joined by my co-host Burner slash Koma. And this time around, we're going to be talking about Super Mario Galaxy.
Because
Oh boy,
Super Mario Galaxy is straight up one of my favorite games of all time. I love it to death.
it's also been quite some time since we touched upon, the last major 3D Mario game. So now would be a good time to talk about Mario again because I actually forgot that I was doing in the middle of a Mario marathon and I ended up doing a bunch of other topics. So now we're finally getting around to Galaxy.
Anything to keep us away from Gen 1. Okay, let's talk about Galaxy now.
hmm
So, what is it about Galaxy that makes it one of the most beloved titles in Nintendo's category? Lots of
Oh,
stuff.
there's
Lots of stuff.
tons.
Like,
I
like,
couldn't agree more.
like, Galaxy is straight. And like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't say that stuff with like a straight face. Like I actually mean it when I say that Galaxy is amazing.
I'd say Galaxy is one of my second favorite games. It's very close to Sunshine, but not quite there. But it's very close.
Yeah, Galaxy is straight up my favorite 3D Mario and probably my favorite Mario game in general, but well, I can gush later. We got topics to go over. So, story.
hmm
Uh it's a Mario game. Roar, scary Bowser. He's taking the princess. Oh no.
Yeah, it's basically just, oh, Bowser's taking the princess. You're an Italian chubby plumber that has to go after him with cosmic powers where you can spin around and stuff in midair that Rosalina gives you, and you're out in space and stuff.
Yeah.
It essentially just amounts to that. Oh, and you also have to go out of your way to save toads and other things, and
Yeah.
Lumas. And it's,
So yeah, that's
but
mm. So yeah,
that's essentially what the story amounts to.
wow.
There's really nothing more to it.
Considering that we were going over some story-driven games during our Pokemon marathon, yeah, this is a nice breath of fresh air. Okay, so now let's get into why Galaxy is so beloved. The level design, my dudes. This game is amazing. Like,
Full
it
level
just,
design,
it just,
phenomenal.
it feels great to play because like a lot of the
It really
times
does.
like there's not only a decent difficulty curve, but also like if you already mastered the game, like there's also some really cool tricks that you can do with Mario and his acrobatics. But even then, like
Absolutely.
the level design is like it caters towards beginners towards the beginning, but it does get very challenging, and you do got to take things into account. They're introducing new gimmicks all the time, like the bubble and the pole stars.
And you have to be very careful as well.
Right, this because if you fall into a black hole, that's your death. But like, I never felt like I was truly threatened while playing the game. But that may be because I played it so much. A beginner
Same here.
will definitely think that the game is challenging, but like it's nothing too overbearing. It's a hard game for your first time, but you'll eventually get it. I and that's what makes Galaxy work. Its philosophies on its game design, I think, are some of the
Not
best in
only
any Nintendo game, honestly.
not not only that, the way regarding its gameplay with the pointer and the nunchuck, it's actually really well done. It's a
Hmm.
very neat combo with the pointer and the nunchuck. The fact you have to shake the Wiimote to do the spin in midair to break stuff. The fact that you have to move around with the nunchuck and move the camera around and other things. It's really nice. It feels the way how the gameplay works is very natural. It doesn't feel clunky or um it doesn't feel clunky or odd in any way, shape, or form. It feels right.
Yeah, because for me, my big problem with Sunshine, and I believe, because, and this is not a knock against Sunshine at all. I still think it's a good game, but it's probably my least favorite of the 3D Mario's. But like, I don't know. I feel like Mario and Sunshine was very loose, and I don't mean that in a good way. Like, he has flow, but like, he doesn't really feel like I'm in control of him a lot of the time, and I had to resort to using Flood a lot, which for a mainline gimmick, he was one of the better ones. But like even still, I would have liked just a little bit more control. Galaxy, thankfully, as is much tighter, and I honestly prefer how Mario controls in Galaxy via like almost any 3D Mario game, aside from Odyssey and 3D World, Bowser's Fury. But we'll cover those games another time. But yeah,
Hmm.
and like the level design complements Mario's ability like very well. Like there are difficult jumps that you can do, like, and it makes clever use of all of Mario's moves: the spin, the triple jump, the wall jump, the ground pound. Like,
Yeah, it meshes nicely with Mario's moveset. It doesn't feel out of place in any way, shape, or form. It's very, again, it feels coherent. It
yeah,
works. It's solid, for
and
lack of a better term.
yeah. And speaking of solid, this is one of two 3D Mario games, and I'm not counting them as like the missing structure. I don't count. I I am because 3D World is actually just 2D Mario in 3D, but like but between 64 and Galaxy, this is one of the games that has power ups, and I think that they're handled a lot better than in 64. Because in 64, you had to unlock them by accessing different parts of the castle through secret
Yeah,
passages, and
whereas here, they're sort of sitting in the stage for you to grab. And when you do grab it, it's given to you, and you know you get to keep it until you get hit, of course.
aside from like two exceptions, which are the Fire Flower and the Ice Flower, well, Ice
Well,
Flower being a new power up for this game, but because those,
yeah, but the ice flower here though is actually handled very well.
yeah. So the Fire Flower is essentially the same as it always is. You can spin in order to shoot fireballs. Oh boy, it's been in every Mario game ever since. It's been in most of every Mario game. So classic power,
However,
classic stuff.
however, the ice flower is different. The ice flower actually allows you to skate on ice that you can make on top of water. It's very interesting. Like when you walk on water, you can make like these um this icy pathway as Ice Mario, and it's very cool, very well done. It makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah,
It's very well thought out.
and another
Um,
and another power up that I particularly like is the bee mushroom, which you get very early on. I think it's actually the first power up you get. It allows Mario to float float a little bit and grab onto sticky surfaces like honey, and it doesn't. It
oh
really helps
yeah,
that it's a part of one of my favorite aesthetically pleasing galaxies, Honey Hive. But yeah, I like the bee mushroom. I can understand why it's not regarded as well as things like the wing cap or even Boo Mario, which we'll cover in a second. But
the wing cap is just the the wing cap is basically just the cave feather in 3D. It's really not that special. But my favorite power up is the spring shroom, hands down,
yeah, it's
or
nice.
whatever it's called. I think it's
Yeah,
called the spring shroom or something.
spring mushroom, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice little power up. Like you get to bounce incredibly high, and like momentum does not exist for you. Go as high as you want.
And it's really fun to use. I think it might be a little clunky to some to those at first. It takes you a little bit of time to get used to, but it's really fun to use. I love the spring mushroom. I always screwed around with it in Toy Time Galaxy whenever I could.
Yeah,
Oh, that and the power up you get near the end of the game or at the end of the game. I think it's a bonus power up. But the red star
yes, the
that
red
allows you to
star.
fly around freely. And it's an end game power for a reason because of how overpowered it is. You can essentially just break the level with it, which is fine. That's why it's understandable as to why it's an end game power.
Plus, you
But
can't
it's
use it in.
so
Plus, you can't
oh
use it
yeah,
in the actual stage. You can only use it in the one area that the one secret mission and in the
you
common
can only
observatory.
yeah, you can only use it in the Comet Observatory and the purple coins, the very first purple coin stage that you run into. So that's about it. But despite that, though, it's a really cool power up, regardless.
I agree.
And I,
It's just a factually better wing cap.
it's yeah, it's wing cap, but it controls way better, and you're not like bound to the limitations of you needing to dive down and go back upwards to keep yourself in the air. It's not bad. It just doesn't work as well in 3D as it does in 2D, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, overall, I think that power up's much better. Anyways, as
Boo.
for the rest of the stuff,
There's really only one other power up in the game, and that being the Boo Mushroom, and it's okay.
yeah, Blue Mushroom's all right. I think it's conceptually cool though that you
Yeah,
can get to phase through walls. It's just kind of underwhelming compared to the other power-ups that you get throughout the game that are more creative and interesting. Not that this one isn't creative and interesting.
not by
It's
a
just
long shot.
underwhelming. It's just kind of underwhelming because of how much fun you'd have with the other power-ups. So it kind of feels like the black sheep out of all the other items that you get as power-ups. So
Plus,
I
it
don't know,
doesn't
it kind of
really.
sucks.
It's not. It's not the worst, but it's just kind of underwhelming. But one dud over an overall great collection of power ups. We can let it slide.
It's not that much of a dud, but it's definitely underwhelming.
Yeah, but wanna know what isn't a dud? This game's
Oh,
music.
oh yes, the music. The music is one thing that I can definitely, you know, give kudos to the developers for. They did a fantastic, phenomenal, splendid job on the game's music. It's just,
Rosalina in
it's
the
or
Observatory, Good Egg Galaxy, Gusty Garden Galaxy. Oh, so good.
yeah, it's so great.
And I think this is actually the first mainline Mario game to have an orchestrated soundtrack. So, hey, there's that.
Hmm. Oh, but yeah,
This game is incredible music. We highly recommend that you
listen to the OST.
so good, so good.
Like,
But
just go on YouTube, find like a Mario Galaxy OST, and just start listening to music.
it's
Please, be
it
doing us a enormous favor if you did.
because it's
It
so
just
so
sounds
good.
phenomenal. It is. It is remarkable.
Yeah. But
Oh,
in terms of other stuff regarding the game, there's one little piece of in there's one kind of big thing that I want to talk about, and that being this game's lore. The What do I mean by lore exactly? I mean Rosalina. Now, many people thought that Rosalina was just generic space waifu at first glance, and yeah, for the most part, that is what she is. She just stands around and doesn't
can't
do a
blame
whole.
anyone for. Yeah, I can't blame anyone for thinking that either.
But, but, if you take the time to read all the entries of her diary in the library, wow, she's actually a
You
lot more.
realize that there's more. You realize that there's more to her than meets the eye. Much more.
The fact that a falling star landed so close to her home, and she did the very incredible and selfless thing to go out into space to see if she can find that Luma's parents, and while abandoning her own. Wow. Granted, it isn't great that she ran away from home at a small age, but even still, she sacrificed that for a friend.
Indeed, that's very noble of her,
And
and that I'd say, in my opinion, is very good storytelling and writing.
yeah, and
So
like
as a result, it makes her a very well-written character with substance, with an incredible amount of substance, actually.
she does care about the Lumas because the Lumas see her as a mother figure, and she does her best to try and take care of each and every one of them by keeping them safe in the observatory, keeping everything nice and tidy. and giving them a home whenever they would need it. And man, Rosalina's just a great character, y'all. Like, sure, she may be
Indeed.
shoehorned into most of every Mario game now, but it's for good reason. It's like she's a legitimately well written character that I feel does not get enough attention.
Indeed.
Granted, I would have preferred to have all of this during the main story and not have it be locked off for side content, but like, even still, the fact that it's there for a Mario game, that's really something.
I couldn't agree more. But that's not all. There is some other things that we did forget to mention earlier.
Right, right.
So, you're probably wondering, do you get anything special for actually beating the game unlike Mario 64? Yes, you do. You get to play as Luigi after beating the entirety of Mario Galaxy, and you get to play the entire campaign with him, with Luigi, once you beat it with Mario. There's also, and you do this through getting green stars. That you do it through not only beating Mario Galaxy, but there are also some green stars that you have to get as Mario, I
Right.
think, if I recall. And
Yes.
that is how you unlock Luigi, which is far better than whatever, Mario 64 was trying to do. Although they were planning on actually including Luigi in Mario 64, and he's confirmed as actually being real. He even
Yes.
had a model of his own. But we're
Yeah.
not here to talk about Mario 64 since we've already covered that. Although maybe we might actually do a revisit of that
But
game, along with potentially Sunshine.
yeah, it's great that Luigi is a playable character here, and he does control differently from Mario, so it does
He's
warrant a second
much more
playthrough.
he's much more slippery,
But he does
and
have a higher jump
his
to compensate. He's pretty much how he plays in a Super
DS 64
64 DS
DS.
and in Mario 2. But yeah, I think that's
Pretty
a
much.
nice reward. But
It's a very good reward. But other than that,
let's close off this episode by talking about some beta content, and
oh,
because I feel like it doesn't get enough attention. So shout out to Beta 64 for in the Beta 64 club for digging all of this information up and making it publicly available. If you want to see that, see some cool stuff, I highly recommend watching his video. And hey, it even has Scott the Woz, so you like Scott, right? Yeah. So yeah. So we want to talk about Mario 128 briefly and how it was a GameCube tech demo that would eventually. We don't know whether or not it's related to Galaxy, but we can surmise that during Galaxy's development, it was originally going to be for the GameCube with Wii Remote like controls, but then as soon as the hardware was being upgraded, the game was actually built around it. At the time, the Wii was called the Revolution, and that's the console's code name. And in Mario Galaxy, went through a lot of changes. Like, so much so that we can't cover it in less than 20 minutes, so
mhm,
it's probably the Mario game that changed the most during development, aside from 64. But 64 was one of the first ever 3D platformers of its time, so I guess we can kind of give it some slack. But like, Galaxy changed a lot. Like,
indeed.
Rosalina originally had a design more like Peach. Some galaxies were different, especially Good Egg Galaxy. Like, there were some the game what didn't originally have all the new Mario voiceovers. Instead, it had some from Sunshine. You know, all that kind of stuff. It's very fascinating to see how one of my favorite games changed so much during its dev.
Yeah, insane.
And I just think it's cool. And if you want to see more information, again, go check out Beta 64's episode on Super Mario Galaxy. I highly recommend doing that. It's a very nice, very cohesive kind of place. And hey, it's got the was. You can't argue with that. So
Yeah, and Mario Galaxy also did good enough to warrant itself a sequel too, but we're not really gonna ever talk about that because there isn't much to. I don't think there's that much to discuss with Galaxy 2 other than the fact that it's more linear than Galaxy 1 from what I've seen, and it does a bit some things differently, and there's new power ups and stuff.
And it
But
does
other
have
than that,
Yoshi, but like, yeah, I think Galaxy One, I think is enough for now because Galaxy Two is a good game too. I'm just saying that I prefer the original because it just feels more special, and that's what Galaxy is to me and to Mirage here. It's a
mhm,
special game. Once that
very special.
one that comes out every once millennia, but when it does come out, you just fall in love with it. And whenever I played it back in 2008 on my old Wii, I loved it then. I played it on the Nintendo Switch very recently, and I felt like a kid again. It was magical.
Very much so. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it regarding Galaxy.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any else left to talk about because I believe we covered just about everything that there is
yeah.
with Galaxy information. So for those who enjoyed this episode of the Saloon Podcast, Werner and myself hope that you enjoyed this little episode of us rambling on about how good Mario Galaxy was and all of its stuff.
Play
And
it, please.
we hope you stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then.
Fare thee well, everybody.